We're now joined by former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, our Senior Counsel for Global Affairs. Secretary Pompeo, he's got a new piece up. It just posted today at ACLJ.org on Iran. The Biden administration is committed to repeating the mistakes of the Obama administration. Last week, the Biden administration's special envoy for Iran, Robert Malley, was on a diplomatic mission across the Middle East. Let me go right to Secretary Pompeo. What was Robert Malley's mission here, Secretary Pompeo? What is he trying to do?
Well, Jordan, he's doing precisely what the Obama administration did, which is to seek to get peace, whatever that means, with the Iranians through complete and total capitulation. I think they have come to view the United States not as an adversary, but as prey, someone that they can victimize. And so he talked about, Malley, when he spoke, said, well, the problem with Iran is that they've been excluded. As if he'd forgotten that in 1979 they took American hostages for 444 days, as if he'd forgotten that they continued to develop their nuclear capabilities, as if he didn't observe the terrorists in Yemen, in the Gaza Strip, in Lebanon with Hezbollah, with others around the world, are underwritten and supported by Iran. They have a fundamental misconception of Iran as a player in the region for good. I just returned. I literally got back from the Middle East a few hours ago, Jordan. I was in Saudi Arabia. I was in the Emirates. I think the people in those places know that Iran is a real threat, and they are very concerned that the United States is demonstrating weakness in the face of Iranian aggression.
And I would imagine some of those countries, Secretary Pompeo, if Iran were to have a nuclear weapon, would feel like they would need a similar weapon. I mean, it could start off an arms race in a region of the world we don't need an arms race like that to go nuclear. And but I would imagine they'd be very concerned, and it'd be even more important to have those U.S. defenses installed in those countries.
One of the things we worried about most with respect to nuclear proliferation was, in fact, just that, Jordan, is that once the Iranians perfect not only their weapon systems, but have the enrichment capability to make not only a single weapon, but an entire program, whether it's the Egyptians, the Jordanians, the Emiratis, the Saudis, the Turks, the list is pretty long. They'll want to join the nuclear club, and that creates enormous risk for the region, for the world. I saw it just today, too, that another senior administration official named Brett McGurk was in the region. He was in Bahrain speaking. He talked in the same way that Robert Malley did about how we just need to invite Iran on the world stage. This is an enormous mistake. This is a theocratic, kleptocratic terror regime. Them with a nuclear weapon exposes the United States to enormous extortion. And when the administration says and apparently has told Israel, hey, attacking Iran, trying to slow down Iran's nuclear program is a provocation, I can assure you the Israelis will do what they need to do to defend themselves.
We know the seventh round of talks with Iran are slated to begin pretty soon. The Iranian regime's taken a more hardline position with their new president. They have a list of demands for the U.S. to rejoin. It includes an apology, lift all sanctions. There's even reports out now that Iran's president, some of his frozen assets are now available to him. All of this together, I mean, it's just like it feels like the Biden administration will give away anything and possibly everything to just get back to some deal, even though it was a deal of bullet points.
If they head back into this deal, it will make the tragedy, the terrible debacle in Afghanistan look like child's play in terms of risk to the United States of America. When the administration started their negotiations, when the Biden administration started, they said they were going to go back into a deal, but it was going to be longer and stronger. Now it appears that they're prepared to accept a deal that is shorter and weaker. That is enormously dangerous. It'll send a signal to the entire region that the United States is not to be trusted, and they'll put the Israeli leadership in a terribly, terribly difficult position, one that the United States should never force the people that live there. The Jewish homeland in Israel, put it in a place where the Iranians would have the capacity to extort and threaten them, and we shouldn't force them to make a difficult decision in the face of, at best, American ambivalence.
There's some reports, again, about protests breaking out in Iran against the Ayatollah. We were very critical in 2009 during the Green Revolution when the Obama administration ignored the pleas. The signs were written in English. People were being shot in the streets. and killed. And it was really, there was a moment there, there's opportunity there that was not utilized by the United States. I feel like probably the people in Iran are even more nervous about taking to the streets because the world seems to ignore their pleas because very much because of what we're talking about now is just that the world is trying to get into, especially the U.S., into a deal with the Ayatollah, not to protest the Ayatollah.
Well, the United States has taken the odd position that we want to open up commercial exchange with Iran, but we're not going to do it. We'll just let the Europeans do business there. And for that reason, we, the Obama administration, and now the Biden administration, has been prepared to overlook the Iranian people. When the Iranian people protested in the Trump administration, I remember not only did I, but President Trump issued statements, sent out tweets saying, "We are with you. We will support you. Do the right thing. Protect your own individual freedoms and your own individual rights." We did everything we could to support them. I doubt that this administration will lift a finger for the Iranian people, but it's going to go to Vienna next week and do an awful lot to give money to the regime itself, to the Ayatollah himself, which will only put the United States and our friends and allies and partners in the region at risk.
Yeah, it's so backwards. I mean, finally, Secretary Pompeo, under the Trump administration you served, there was the maximum pressure campaign, and it was able to fix some of the wrongs done by the Obama administration under the JCPOA. It re-isolated Iran, their economy, made sure they didn't have the resources they did. But if the Biden administration caves to Iran, they do this again. So we get a repeat of what Obama did, but maybe even on a bigger cave when it comes to the money and what Iran is demanding. Can a future administration still salvage this situation, or is it too late and we end up in that arms race situation in the Middle East that we're so concerned about?
Well, I hope not. I can say this much. I am very confident that the next Republican administration would walk away from any crappy deal that the Biden administration entered into. One of the conditions that the Iranians have placed is they want this administration to promise that the deal won't be broken again. That promise can't be made. The Biden administration can't deliver on that promise because there are no Democrats in the Senate that are going to vote for a treaty. So the next Republican administration, the next Republican president, whoever he or she is, that person is going to bust this deal. The Iranians should know it, and so should every country or every business that's thinking about re-entering Iran to do business with the Iranian regime. They should know that the clock is running on their capacity to do that, that this deal won't stand, not because of politics, not because it was a Democrat that did it, because this is a foreign policy decision that puts American lives and Israeli lives at risk.